Hey guys, it's Daniel from Daddy.Gamer. Today I'd like to do something a little different. You see, I've been working on some, using some AI and machine learning for some things at work, and I came upon this interesting website, Deep AI. And it has this interesting little text generation API. And I found when I put some random stuff in there, I've been getting some funny results, and I thought this might make an interesting video. So let's give it a shot. Let's see. I need to come up with something. All right, takes a sentence or partial sentence and predicts subsequent text from that input. Okay, let's see what we get here. As she stepped on board the spaceship, she knew this would be the last time she saw Earth. So it says, as she stepped on board the spaceship, she knew this would be the last time she saw Earth. The other astronauts were already dead, but that was too bad. As crew members found out, the ship was destined to fail anyway. Well, a lot of people were there, but for a few seconds they thought we were dead as well until we realized this was not a very good look for us. There were some people there on the station where they remembered that spaceship. And the only way to tell you how that happened is just to get inside, because it was so far apart and the sun had its own shadow. The ship was a huge shadow, but its powerful forces could be seen against the light that was there at the moment. Okay. But they would be damaged in order for a big battle to ensue. This sounds like when they try to translate instructions from Chinese into English and it just doesn't quite work right. As crew members went outside the spaceship, the light stopped. Wait a second. I thought all the crew members were dead. Okay. The ship stopped and looked into the space station. As the ship began to break apart, we started coming here as if the universe is experiencing this thing as dark from time. So it is really fast moving. I started jumping over a dark area in space. The lights were off. People was catching a lot of helium as I jumped in and jumped out of the space station. I jumped. I was still jumping backwards, and to complete my surprise, my body just started moving. I was once a company, which it kind of seemed could do, but I really turned to the company of the people that knew the ship. They could see in a few seconds, and I was going to jump out of the atmosphere in the blackness there. That was the last time I would be here in this company, if this thing was even in its presence. I jumped and looked into the hull and saw the ship gliding here. I was pretty scared because it was a very large bit of our ship. It was going off the rock and not at all the way a normal ship does. With the dark side of the moon all around it, it was the only way I was able to get inside. I jumped outside a couple of doors and grabbed her and brought me to the back of the ship, and I jumped into her. Her head was really gone. Wait, what? Her head really was gone, but she stuck pretty hard. She was a couple of feet in front of me, but she had all that going back and forth. I was able to jump to my feet on the inside of the hull and see what she came back. That was a couple of feet even before we got the ship. When the ship reached the horizon, the air in front of the stars was totally out of focus. That was a great deal of focus on the dark side. The ship's propulsion system had difficulty adjusting thrust of the ship. and the pilots kept jumping straight into the hull in some way, but they were able to keep the ship from becoming distracted, allowing it to float out of the solar system. I was able to jump out of the system and then fire up the engines, she shared with us. The ship went into a shock, but eventually the propulsion system failed. I felt pretty good after I had been inside and said to myself, I'm going to blow up the ship for this, she finished. A little pressure in my abdomen. If I hit the earth, the ship, the air is going to blow again. So what? So I did a couple of things that was very confident about after jumping out of the system because I was ready for something. I had a feeling of how fast I was going to jump out of the platform. I jumped a lot because I could see in those close quarter colors and just didn't have anything else to look at. I was ready to jump into the sun, so this was going to blow up. This is insane. This AI is insane. We said we're going to jump into the sun, and then the system would blow at us. Then the engines came back and said, go away and go back. Then go over to the surface and watch the sun come up to light. When the steam came up, we looked over and said to ourselves, because it is the only way to get inside this huge monster, then the steam stopped coming out. And the engines came back and turned. We had a feeling that there was something going on. The water was going to blow up. Then I did the jump a little bit and jumped into the air and went over and watched the sun go up in the next direction. The only thing I could think of was that we couldn't get into the atmosphere and the stars, and we could tell that the engines were running out. I just felt like I was watching a spaceship start and end over me. It was kind of weird. But a huge fireball, and then I jumped back to a platform and jumped off. After that, I had a feeling of how fast I was going to jump. The other crew looked really shocked. I jumped from a platform in the back.